Okay, there it is. Good morning and welcome to Morning Brew. It's Sunday, August 29th. Now, I know that there were a few people who were up late. Actually, I woke up late and ended up being on a few streams. And I, ended up having fun. I was on Slasher McSplitters, who, if you're not subscribed to him, you should be. Anyhow, I ended up joining the panel, and then I spent a couple hours backstage talking with several of the people, including Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective and a couple other people. It was kind of fun. And good morning, JPs. How are you this morning? Just kind of, I got things tweeted out and such, so just to let everybody know that everything's going on. You're alive. Well, I'm alive too, I think. There is the link to join the panel, and I'm having to wait for it to pop up in the stream. There it is. So I can now pin the message. I wonder if Bird got much sleep. Anyhow, got to talking. It's funny because, granted the, backstage conversations, are private and are supposed to stay backstage. So that's one thing I like about them. We're kind of free to talk about stuff. I will admit, I kind of was a little more quiet back there than I normally would have been, because dealing with pain, because I could tell before I could take my pain medicine. But it was kind of fun hanging out, even though it's hurting some. And greetings from Eastern Canada, says 47 Yorktown. And greetings to Eastern Canada from Captain Truck. How are you this morning, 47? Let's see here. Then I was on another stream this morning. Actually, this time I was just watching. Games, Movies, and Comics Are Us, who should be here in a little bit. He was still playing. The funny thing was he was doing a stream and was like, "Oh hey," because I mentioned I was going to be going live soon. That was about 15 minutes ago. he's like, well, drop the link in. I said, no, because I didn't want to. Meds time. Okay, well, take your meds, JPs. So it was, kind of fun over there watching him play some. Oh crap! I'm so bad with some of the games. I haven't even had coffee yet, so I had my pain medicine. So that's all that. At this point, that's all that matters. But no, it was fun to kind of hang out last night, late last night, early this morning, even though it meant I kind of didn't get much sleep. So I'm going to be going to bed early today, with no doubt. So anyhow, how is everyone's Sunday morning so far? I know JP's is alive. And we'll have to, you and I will have to talk sometime, JP's. Yeah. Anyhow. So let's see here. So far today, I don't know what's going on. I know Bird's going to be going live early today. Yeah. Let's see. No, that was yesterday. Okay. Oh, Lord. Okay, it should be 3 p.m. Eastern for Twilight Zone. And JP's is taking his meds right now. Well, that's good to know. But I'm looking forward to finding out, what oh, I don't know, what everybody else is doing. Everybody's day's been. And good morning, Professor Brady Specs. Hey, Arabic, how are you doing this morning? Oh, doing a question and track at a special time, special day and time at 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Okay. As much as I would love to see that live, there is no way in hell. Not, not a chance. My ass is going to be asleep. I can guarantee that. I can absolutely guarantee that. I have been up since 1 this morning, hurting. So, yeah, no, not a chance. Well, I need to get up off my ass and get the cup of coffee. So, anyhow, by the way, how does everyone take their coffee? Oh, by the way, Professor, if you want to really throw off Bird, throw a few questions about whatever the third JJ movie was. I guarantee you he won't know those answers. I should be nice, since he's usually on these streams. But, it'd be nice to even the field. I don't know who he's going up against, so. By the way, do you know who he's going up against? And greetings, Mountains of Elysium. Oh, Star Trek Beyond. Yes, throw in some questions about Star Trek Beyond. Make them vague. well, not vague, just the you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I need more coffee for that. Just something that whatever the transport chief's name, or some random shit that is mentioned one moment and you never hear it again. Something like that. Bird was trying to cheat yesterday, so I'm recommending something to do to make sure he doesn't win. Watch it pop up in the chat. And let's see here. JP says, well, it is a good day because it's a no work day. Well, that's true. Cream and sugar. Yes. Oh, I love that. I don't always add cinnamon. I do every once in a while. It kind of adds a little spice to it. I do once in a while, particularly in the winter, just for fun. Oh Lord!
I literally just got finished posting my Twilight Zone. Click on the link to come here, and I hear Bird was cheating yesterday. I wasn't cheating. And B, I don't cheat. It's not cheating in a one-player game. That's the only time I might ever use a so-called cheat, but you can't cheat yourself in a one-player game. So that doesn't count as cheating.
Bird, we were talking about a question of Trek.
That wasn't cheating either. It's not cheating to ask somebody if they happen to know the questions for the upcoming show. And then to ask them, well, if they were me, which Star Trek movie would they watch tonight? There's no cheating going on. Those were just questions friends ask each other. What Star Trek show would you watch tonight, Captain? Is that cheating?
No.
So which one?
Well, since I have no connection with what's going on, I'm probably going to say Star Trek 2.
Star Trek 2. So there's an answer. Is it that difficult?
Assuming I'm awake. And I know I won't be awake for a question of Trek. Because I've been awake since about 1:30.
My God, what happened? I missed it? I'm sorry.
Pain.
Oh.
And so I had to wait till 4:30 to take my medicine as normal. And yeah. Been a bitch night. Just say that. And here's the question,
and I do hope you get sleep when you can.
Yeah, I was hoping to be able to watch you on a question of Trek. I may have to watch the replay.
It's okay. I'm sure it'll be replayed on all the big networks for several days. After that, I'm sure it'll go to Netflix and Peacock, Amazon Prime.
Thank you, JPs.
That's not coercing to get an advance. First, that coercion means that I was forcing somebody to do something against their will. I am stuck in a hospital bed. How is it I could possibly force somebody to do something against their will? That sounds as ridiculous as the time a woman in a hospital had security called on me. Why I was literally more paralyzed than I am now in a
Yes.
hospital bed,
Yes.
dying, and I got angry at her because it was a ridiculous amount of incompetence, and I raised my voice. Security, call security. I'm like, you, to myself, you stupid bitch. What the fuck am I going to do to you? I am angry, but I am fucking, you know what? Call security. Tell them that the big paralyzed man in the hospital bed who can't fucking move his legs is going to attack her. Tell them that. Let them arrest me.
Oh no, you'll be confined to the bed. Oh wait, you already are.
Oh, geez, what are you gonna do? You're gonna chain me to the bed? Ah, fuck. Now I'm fucked now, huh? Oh, why don't you put a fucking one of those big ball and chains around my ankle just to make sure I can't fucking run away?
Oh god. I don't think you've ever mentioned that story, but
Oh, I never mentioned that story.
mm-mm,
Oh,
not when I was
that
around.
was a short one, but a good one. In fact, my father, it was a sad one because it was the time my father was in the hospital, the same time I was, and he didn't come out. So I was angry because I was like literally, like my father is literally dying down the hallway. I can't even fucking see him. I just want to get the fuck out of here. And she is like for the third or fourth time bungled my release date. It was during the rare time where I had the insurance the hospital liked, and they wanted to keep me as long as possible because it was just cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. And I was getting fed the fuck up. And the only thing I had was the volumetric that you breathe in and out of, the plastic thing that you breathe in and out to increase your lung function.
Yeah.
And I got angry and I slammed it down on the table in front of me because it was the only thing I could do. And this lady jumps backwards, call security, call security.
Oh my
Uh,
god. So did
I
they
was like,
call
what the
security?
f- am I gonna do? I'm getting paralyzed.
Oh, fuck's sake. Why are people stupid? I mean, I've discovered as I've gotten older, there's actually levels of stupidity.
You got what?
I said there are levels of
Yeah.
stupidity.
Yes, there are levels.
And I don't know if she would
And
be on
Professor
top or
is
bottom of that, depending on which way it goes.
okay. I'll be honest, Professor. The real reason I asked you if you knew the questions is because I have psychic powers
I'm having to take a
and
different
I
pill
was
because I've got a
going to scan your brain
stupid
as I
sinus
did
headache.
overnight to figure out what the questions were. So you're right. I was cheating my psychic ability. If you consider psychic ability
And
cheating,
good morning, Ken Jack Ben. And Professor says he told you which to watch. That
I
would be
know.
all
I'm
of the
just saying.
movies. And fortunately, since you didn't hear the beginning of this, Professor, you know what to do.
He didn't hear a thing.
Oops, I gave a hint, so I guess not.
Who didn't? Can you
Abort.
hear me, Captain? Hello,
That,
Captain. Can you hear me? Captain,
yes,
can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Somebody was saying you couldn't hear me. I misread it. My bad.
No, he didn't hear a thing, meaning you.
Ah. JPs can hear me too. Okay.
And yeah, bureaucracy can often cause otherwise non-stupid people to become stupid.
I don't know,
Or
Kenjack. I
stupid
think
people to become
bureaucracy.
stupider.
Yeah, I think bureaucracy often gives power to stupid people so that they can be, their stupidity can spread. In fact, bureaucracy tends to reward stupidity. That's why Kuroga, hates bureaucracy, because bureaucracy leads to stupidity, and stupidity leads to Turdistan.
And greetings, Ken Jackman says, greetings and salutations from Northern California. Is it really? No, not going there
I
today.
had no idea what day it was today for like 20 minutes.
It's Sunday.
I
Sunday,
know.
Sunday, Sunday.
I know that now.
In fact, if you'll notice, I always put the day in the title, just so people will know. I've fucked up a couple of times, but what happens when you start setting it up late at night? And how is your day going, Mountains? I got your messages on Twitter. Thank you. I appreciate that. Always a interesting laugh. Yes. And I like this little cartoon that he sent. A priest is holding his baby for um, whatever they call it, the sprinkling thing. And he's saying, now, before we continue, Mr. and Mrs. Royd, are you absolutely sure you want to call her Emma? So, again, thank you, Mountains of Elysium. And JP says it's Terminator versus Jesus Day. What the hell?
What?
Christening. That's what I was trying to think of. Baptism, christening, whatever. Depending on the religion. Yeah. Not sure why it's Terminator versus Jesus Day, but whatever.
August 29th. I don't
Ah,
know. That's
it's Judgment Day. You're right. I hadn't realized that.
says today the day Project Prometheus is gonna become sentient.
I kind of doubt it, but uh, and thank you, JP, for the link. I will be watching that later. Ah, and Mountains Elysian put a tweet out about that earlier. Cool. Ugh. I'll have to actually check Twitter other than my DMs. Yes, Prometheus becomes self-aware today and becomes known as Skynet from this day forward. Oh, I like that idea. Just don't tell LDG because he might. I don't know. Might try to prevent that. Of course, this time I'm still rooting for a comet to just come wipe us out.
Absolutely. Right over New York.
New York, Los Angeles, and have it might as well wipe out the Kansas City area as well. Just have it, incinerate anything within 100 miles would be good. Well, that would work.
There's got to be an asteroid, not one of these fucking hurricanes.
Oh God,
We got
no!
enough hurricanes. Or New Orleans. They're about to get hit again. Ida. It's not even a great name. I mean, at least Katrina. I was like, oh shit. But Ida. It's like sounds like a podiatrist's name. It's Dr. Ida's office calling. We're here to sink your city again. Katrina, that's a name you survive. I have seen the beast. Her name is Katrina. Not his name's Ida.
I think they did. I think they should have named it Orida, but whatever.
And in Kuroga, all our hurricanes have neat names. None of these pansy ass names. Ida is the name of a celebrity chef known as the Barefoot Contessa. You see, it just makes it all the more.
That was my meaning, JP's. That was exactly my meaning. Yes, we need a Hurricane Karen. Oh, we already have plenty of those. Never mind.
Didn't we have a Hurricane Karen last year?
JP says Hurricane Karen just wants to speak to your manager. And then bitch. Oh, ouch. I don't know about that one. I make an interesting name for a hurricane, though, but as opposed to hurricane, yeah, Hurricane Hillary, yeah, that's what we need, a Hurricane Hillary. Yeah. Except we've already passed the H's for this year, so once we get enough to get back to the H's, I don't know what it would be. Anyhow. So how is Mamo Pray this morning?
She seems okay. We woke up a little earlier than I think we would have wanted, but I don't know what time she got to sleep. I got to sleep fairly early. We watched an episode of Stargate Universe before I went to sleep last night. That was
Cool.
not something we normally get to do, but we're up to season 2 just finished episode 2 of Stargate Universe. This is further than I've ever been in the series, so it's all new to me, and it's
I probably ought to watch.
very upsetting that there's not going to be a finale, but
Ken Jack Ben says, not a fan of Stargate Universe. JP's boo! SGU is pure blasphemy. Okay. Why? Why are you not a fan of it? And why is it, quote, pure blasphemy, unquote?
who's not a fan of what? I'm
Ken
sorry.
Jack Ben is not a.
Oh, Stargate Universe. I'll be honest. It is so much darker. It is the Star Trek Discovery of Stargate, but it was still doesn't have terrible characters. It is just a much darker, much more pessimistic show than any of the other Stargates, and frankly, it's not family. The other Stargates were family shows. You could watch them with your kids. You could watch them with your grandparents, and they were good shows. This is not a family show. It's frankly there's I mean, granted they don't show it because it's was on public television, but there's like sex scenes and shit, at least implied, if not graphically shown. And and a lot of death, a lot of like awful choices, torture and murder, and that wasn't what the original Stargate was about. The original Stargate was like Trek, was like old Trek, optimistic future. This is like shit. The whole galaxy's gone to shit. The whole freaking universe has gone to shit. I mean, yes, it's got a lot of cameos from the original cast members, or at least Richard Dean Anderson and Daniel Jackson, and well, I should say O'Neill, Daniel Jackson, and Samantha Carter. I don't remember if Teal'c was in it or not, but decent enough cameos. But they're all, even O'Neill is like, this is not the guy I want to see. He's changed now. Samantha Carter, she's changed. She's like a military commander leading a war, not a scientist who's part of a team exploring new planets. Like literally, she has an episode where they're counting the number of dead. I mean, they have to jump away and leave people to die. And like, yeah, shit. Two FO2 pilots are dead. We had to jump away before they could get back. And I'm like, yeah, well, you made the right call. And that's it. That's the end of, there's no more talk about it. There's no, well, I'll send something to their wives or husbands or whatever they were. Just no, yeah, they had to die. We couldn't save them. Bye. Right call to leave. It's just not. Now it's still Stargate. I mean, in that there's a Stargate, and maybe being older than I was the first couple of times I tried to watch it, and certainly being more used to nihilism now, I can watch it, but I totally see why it turned me off at the time, and why I will say to this day it is by far the worst Stargate it's ever been released. And frankly, I hope future Stargates go back to their more original SG-1 and Stargate Atlantis formula. Even the original Stargate movie was less depressing than the Stargate universe. There's like nobody you want to cheer for in the Stargate universe. There's no great characters. I mean, the best character is a stupid kid. The best character is their Wesley Crusher. That's the only guy who seems to have, and we'll probably find out that he's fucking a pedophile or something, because that's just the way they do things. He's the only one so far that we don't know what his dirt is, which means he's got to have the worst dirt of all. Or at least he would if the series ever finished.
Okay, Mountains. Was that spoiling? Is he really that bad of a character?
Huh?
I know Mountains knows that series, so I just was asking if he could.
Mountains. Universe is so different. Other SG shows, I could not get into it. Yeah. Yeah, it didn't have to be a Stargate show. It could have just been called Destiny or something, and been about humans being transported to a far off spaceship trying to find their way home, using wormholes of some sort, and had nothing to do with Stargate. Now, would I have liked it a lot more? Probably not, because it's still a dark show, but I wouldn't have it wouldn't have hurt the Stargate franchise.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would have liked it any less. Although, to be completely honest, the fact is that if it wasn't called Stargate, I would not be watching it. So, you know what? I mean, yeah, I would have preferred it wasn't a Stargate, but if this show didn't have the Stargate label, I would have given up on it after 2 or 3 episodes and never gone back. So, the only reason I'm giving it this third or fourth chance is because it is technically a Stargate show. So, yeah, like Discovery. If Discovery wasn't a Trek series, I would just not watch it. I wouldn't hate it. I would just not watch it. The fact that it's a Trek show, I actively hate the series.
I think you have legitimate reason to. What I like is how people, well, if you don't like it, don't watch it. So, maybe not. Sorry, if you're going to use the Star Trek name, it should have, I don't know, something to do with Star Trek. Good morning, Ken.
Hey there. You guys were talking about Stargate, and I immensely enjoy that show. I purchased all of the movies, the straight to TV movies. I'm even a big what you call it? The other one, the one that's Farscape. I was a big Farscape fan as well, and Farscape is kind of similar to Stargate. That's why Ben brought it.
Honestly, I can't get into Farscape. I'm trying, but it's. I know people compare it. I love Stargate. I am not a great fan of
Well, Farscape was my jam from the beginning because I grew up on Henson, on Jim Henson Creaser Shop and all the work they used to do. So I was like, yeah, that's good. They have a lot of unique aliens in that show, Farscape. And it takes a minute for you to understand that it is truly alien. And that's kind of off-putting to some people. But Stargate is one of those shows where it's like G.I. Joe for me. It's like G.I. Joe in space. It portrays the U.S. military as a force for good. It's not political, but it is patriotic. And you're not going to get any sort of messaging other than choose freedom. And that's what they're about. They're about setting people free. They go there and they set people free. They don't nation build. They don't need to. They show the military in a positive light, and they boil it down to the simplest aspect of what the military does when they're doing the right thing. They're going in there and they're risking their lives to set people free and leaving them be.
Yeah.
And then Bad Robot gets a hold of it, and they ruin it just like they ruined everything else. And I believe that Stargate and Battlestar Galactica was a test run by Bad Robot as a company of how to ruin something. See, they chose those other franchises that weren't they weren't very well known, and it didn't matter if it didn't matter even if they did ruin everything. So what happened was it worked. What they did was done, and it worked. They did it on purpose. They ruined it on purpose. And the only problem was it didn't hurt anyone. So, because they almost lost all of their stuff. They almost lost all of their contracts and everything. And they almost lost a lot of money by doing that. So what they did was they went over to the, after they ruined those two shows, they ended up getting work doing Star Wars and Star Trek. So they ruined those two. And the reason they did that was all of it was purposefully done. You got to understand that. It was purposefully done to cause hurt and pain in the audience so that the audience just goes ape, and they let loose this barrage of hatred towards the company that's doing this. All the while, the production company that's behind all of it, they still get paid, and they go off and attack the next thing. Because in Hollywood, quality is not assured. You can get people to sign predatory contracts. And the only buddy making any money off of the destruction of franchises is J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot. And what else? Secret Hideout, all these production companies, they're all doing it on purpose. It's all one big grift. I think J.J. Abrams is a person who grew up in Hollywood and he hates it. He hates every bit of it. That's just an impression I get from the way he's operated in Hollywood. You know, never producing good work, even though he's capable of it. I think Regarding Henry is a rather good movie.
I I don't remember. Not that long ago.
Regarding Henry is a rather good movie, although it is changed a little bit from the actual events that it's based on. That's why he got shot in the head and not in a car accident, even though if he did get in a car accident, it would have made more sense. And more people would note the movie and they would remember it. The second performance that Harrison Ford ever did that I enjoyed was What Lies Beneath.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie is amazing. That movie is a testament to what Harrison Ford can accomplish when he actually tries.
Hmm.
Sorry, I just gotta take my sugar.
No problem. Okay. Mount Elysium, I love the SG-1 episode where they imagine themselves in the Farscape universe, but Claudia and Ben played different characters.
Yeah, that was their 300th episode, I do believe, or 200th episode, where they were trying to help the in-game fictional, the in-universe character who was doing a TV show about a wormhole. In Stargate, there's a thing called Wormhole Extreme, and in that particular thing, they were trying to help the writer of the show come up with the 200th episode. I think O'Neill was the general by then, and that's why they were doing it. And they got to do like a funny clip show sort of thing for their 200th episode, where they were just making fun of all the sci-fi tropes. and they had them all be puppets. That was the part that I remember most. Puppets.
They popped in and out. Okay.
Huh?
Wait till they come back. That's fine.
Who was that?
I don't know. I just heard ding, and somebody was there and then gone before I could read it.
I heard they're working on doing a new Stargate. They're working on it. Well, did I get kicked out?
No,
Why
you're.
did my avatar disappear?
I don't know. Sometimes StreamYard does that. Don't ask me why.
Weird.
Yep.
It feels weird now. I can see it on my phone, but I can't see it on the screen because I have it playing on my TV.
And JP says, StreamYard shit the bed.
Oh, yeah, they did.
And Ervin Saunders says, puppets? Yvette would love that. What puppets?
No, she doesn't hate. She hates puppets, doesn't she?
Yes.
I'm the same way with like the stop motion animation for Fantastic Mr. Fox. It disturbs me. Some of that stop motion animation really just unnerves me. I can't watch it. They're like Sesame Street puppets. They're not like she doesn't like those kind of puppets. I mean, there's like different levels of puppetry, and the Sesame Street puppets aren't that bad.
Okay. If it's a puppet or a marionette, she doesn't like it at all. No question.
So she's not a fan of. She can't watch the Muppets. She can't watch Kermit, or
No.
you can't watch any of those.
Nope.
I could see like what's the other one? You know, like Thunderbirds and those ones. Those ones are weird. They can go like Team America. You know that one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's where I don't like them either. But you know what I mean? Levels of puppetry. That's just no. But like Grover and Kermit the Frog, they don't bother me.
Oh. Yes. Eric says
Did you ever
doesn't
see
like any kind of puppet.
Did you ever play Voyager Elite Force?
No, I didn't.
Those games are really good. They're not canon in any way, but they're really good. They got this little technology thing in there where they use like a transporter, a micro transporter as a pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's an in-game excuse for the reason they can carry so many weapons and so many objects.
Well, at least that makes sense.
And they have a suit, like they wear these like an exoskeleton.
I'm sorry
Grumpy?
about that.
Gumby's okay. Gumby's okay, but I really liked I was Oh my goodness, I'm trying to remember. I remember watching Romper Room and Mr. Rogers all the time. But Romper Room more than anything. That's what I remember from being really little. That's what Arvik was asking about Gumby. Gumby's okay. Gumby doesn't bother me. Gumby was like watching toys. But like Fantastic Mr. Fox and all that Wes Anderson stop motion stuff, it's creepy.
I was never a Gumby fan.
Not really.
Stop animation. Clay animation. I don't think I really ever watched any of that stuff regularly. Nothing against it. It just wasn't
Right.
my thing.
Yeah, I remember seeing him, but it's just kind of okay.
Yeah, they had better stories as time went on. They did better stories. There's about 3 seasons of it now, maybe more.
3 seasons of what?
Super Mansion. It was
Never heard of
it's on Crackle. That's a free.
don't.
That's a streaming service.
I know what Crackle is. I don't use it.
Yeah, it's not. It's actually pretty good though. Super Mansion's actually a reason to download it. Also, I looked at Pluto is another one that I have that's a free service.
Mm-hmm.
I like them because they have a channel that's nothing but Ninja Turtles all day. And my nephew likes Ninja Turtles. He loves Ninja Turtles. He can't get enough of them. If I put that on, he'll sit there and watch it all day. And I have all kinds of toys for him too. He loves Marvel. He likes Ninja Turtles and DC.
Cool.
I remember when I was young, obviously, I was a Ninja Turtles fan. Growing up, and my cousin, Dibs, who 10 years younger than me, he really liked Ninja Turtles. It was one of the few things that we both enjoyed. Otherwise, he was more Power Rangers, and I was already too old to give a shit about Power Rangers.
Yeah.
And Transformers were no longer really a thing. Not the real Transformers, anyway.
Yeah, they were done
Generation 1.
Transformers was done by like 84, I do believe. They were all over with. But the show continued. They just never aired it over here. They had more episodes after the movie and everything. They just never aired them over here.
No point in doing that when most of the people watching it aren't here.
Yeah. They also killed a bunch of fan favorite Autobots. They killed a bunch of fan favorite Autobots and then changed Megatron into Galvatron. And they brought Optimus Prime back after after the movie, but they never showed those episodes here. I need to get some coffee.
Yep.
Play the coffee.
Actually, I need to get some coffee as well. Bird.
Aye, aye, Captain. Captain's gonna get some coffee.
Listen to me very carefully, because I'm only going to say this once. Coffee. Black.
Coffee. Black. While I've got your attention, there are...
Coffee first. Well, this mentor would like another cup of coffee. I'm just gonna have to give up coffee. Want some coffee?
If I'm not mistaken, that's your third cup this morning.
Fourth, and on a day like today, it won't be my last. Coffee. The finest organic suspension ever devised. Commander, set a new course. There's coffee in that nebula.
Ain't got enough water. I should put more.
Okay.
Right, you're back, Captain.
Yes, I'm back.
I was gonna start the musical ramblings of Ozzy O'Prey, but
Oh, Lord. And good morning, Dave G Sound. What's going on today?
every fucking time.
What now?
Every time I'm getting killed by a goddamn rocket-propelled grenade.
Well, I wonder how that's possible. Other than cheating, obviously.
Well, in their defense, I did mark myself as, ready to be killed. This way you get more points for surviving. So they knew exactly where I was on the map.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought I was like, okay, good. They'll come in this door. I'll have enough time to shoot them. But I was not thinking they're going to come in this door and fire a rocket-propelled grenade at me. So,
Well,
it was the little flaw in my plan.
Dave, I'm happy for you. You're happy it's chore day. I'm happy for you. I think he could be being a slight bit sarcastic. I don't know. It's possible.
It's chore day.
Mm-hmm.
Coffee's done. Let's see. Do I have any bread? I will have some bread and coffee.
And I kind of figured that, Dave. I just,
I like to have a piece of French bread and some coffee. Well, we're all out of French, so no bread for me today.
so
It finally
what
cooled
chores
down.
are on the list for the day, Dave? Anything specific, or are you just needing to get some general cleaning and chores done? Paint the fence, stab the deck.
I'm hoping I can get some energy drinks today so I can finish cleaning up my room.
What's your favorite energy drink?
I like Bang energy drinks. 300 milligrams of caffeine per 16-ounce can, and they have really good flavors. Zero sugar, zero coloring, lots of BCAA aminos.
Yeah, I don't know what any of that means. I mean, except the zero coloring and zero sugar, but
Yeah, they use erythritol as the sweetener. It's not. It's a natural sweetener. It's not sugar. It's a natural sweetener. It's not like the other one, NutraSweet.
aspartame. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like that one. This is a natural sweetener.
Is it stevia, or is that
No,
something else?
it's derived from wood alcohol. It has no. Your body doesn't take it in the same way. It's called erythritol. There's also another one that most people don't like called xylitol, and they're all what you would call, for lack of a better term, artificial sweeteners, but they're not artificial.
Well, yeah, I understand. They're not sugar, but
Right.
they're also not laboratory
Yeah,
created.
they're like a byproduct from like making wooden barrels for alcohol making or whatever.
Ah, cool. We got somebody backstage. And here we
How
go.
are you guys? Oh, hey, how's it going?
Good morning.
Joshua Lawrence Chamberlain, promised that after I won the Battle of Little Round Top, that I would come on here to support y'all pilgrims.
And for those of you who don't know, this is games, movies, and
No,
comics
no,
for us.
no, no, no. Don't you dox me, my friend. Because the last thing I want is that yellow triangle after my trail again.
Well,
I don't understand doxing. It doesn't make any sense to me. If you're on the internet, anybody that wants to know who you are will find out who you are.
Not that yellow triangle person.
Who's the yellow? What does that even mean?
I know exactly what is meant. Yep, I agree. Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna go. Ethan's on, so I'm gonna go check out
Okay.
Ethan's stream. All right, you guys.
Wait,
See you later.
hold on.
Bye bye.
Wait, Ken,
Stay
don't
there.
leave.
Okay, yeah. What's up?
I just want to know who you're talking about. Who are you leaving us for?
Comic artist Pro Secrets.
What's his
Ethan
name?
Van Sciver. Ethan Van Sciver.
I've literally never heard of that person. Does he make something called Battletoads?
No, he
Does
doesn't.
he make something called Frogs in Space?
No, he doesn't. It's called Cyber Frog.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Stay out.
Well, I wanted to show my support for Captain Trek. Captain
I
Trek,
appreciate that.
you're a great guy. I got to get some sleep now, but farewell, my friend.
Thank you. You get some sleep, and yeah, take care.
Take
We'll
care,
talk
man.
soon.
Take care, my bro.
I always confuse the frog guys too.
Oh, you're not the only one, apparently. I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just so. Let's see. Well, at least I'm being left for a bigger channel. That's good.
Yeah. True enough.
I mean, if somebody's going to leave, it's like, hey, well, maybe I ought to say, oh, by the way, tell them I said hi, even though they didn't know who the hell I am, more than likely. Been in their chat a few times. That's about it.
You know, I respect the honesty.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Just say, I gotta go. Although it's probably what I would have said.
Oh, you would have said, oh, I got to go. Something came up or blah, blah, blah. You would have been more.
No, I probably would have just said, I gotta go and not explained why.
Exactly.
So as not to, purposely promote the other place, but just to be honest that I was leaving.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. You'll find let's see here. Nothing.
Inoffensive content. Tons and tons of inoffensive content. Or wait, no, maybe zero inoffensive content. Wait. No offensive content.
That's right. Zero offensive content.
Offensive content. You won't find inoffensive content. You will find no offensive content. You know how people get their second wave and they're waking, they get tired and they wake up again and they get their second wave or whatever it's called, the second wind.
Second wind.
Second wind. What's the reverse call? When you were tired, you wake up and then you get tired again? Like your second lull?
You didn't get enough sleep. Or your body didn't get enough.
Yeah, but it's the usual thing. It happens every time. Mars, Easy Bird of Prey, Jim Henson made Kermit, and Ethan Van Sciver does Cyberfrog. Oh, is that just the...
Easton says, well, I'm trying to do real world stuff and also flipping around the channels as I'm doing that. Well, nothing wrong with that, Easton. Nothing wrong at all. There's a lot of things to watch on, even now. I don't know what it is because I'm doing my own thing and not really giving two shits about what else is on because I'm not watching it. Yeah, Comic Book Pros is live. There's another stuff I'm sure is live. Everything else I'm seeing is uploaded.
I'm never going to be a comics person, Captain. I've resigned myself to realizing that. I'm never going to care about the comics. I hope the people doing these independent comics, I wish them well.
Yeah.
I understand we're all part of the same culture war and we're generally on the same side.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't. Every time I look at a comic, I couldn't give two shits about it.
Well, like the one I mentioned the other day, because Brock G popped Lincoln. It's one of the few that didn't have massive breasts and didn't cost a lot. I prefer to have something that's a little less pornographic. Sorry.
I mean, I have donated to one or two independent comics over the years because I supported their, say, political agenda, if you will, in their fight against whatever. But that's it. Honestly, the comic comes in and I don't do anything with it. And I'm sorry if that hurts their feelings, but I did participate in getting the funding, getting it back. So I hope the, more or less free money outweighs I don't think the creator's ever going to hear me confess to the fact that I didn't give a shit about their actual comic. And further, I don't think they really care. If they're there to raise money and I help get them across the threshold, so be it.
Let's see here. Easton said, EVS is writing Salamander, which I'd never heard of, and Cyberfrog, which I have heard of. I would buy these, but a canned Coke is a preferred purchase. Yeah, it also costs less too. Game says, but EVS never heard of Nigel. Oh, that's true. And actually, in this case, I probably would prefer if you never heard of me. So, yeah, whatever. Maybe I ought to do what Deej does, start making birthday videos, but not in any fucking costumes. Well, Easton Burkholder, I like Perfect 10, which is busy and pretty and well. Yeah. Yeah. Bird, you like what you like. You get enthusiastic about what you get enthusiastic. Yeah. Well, initially on the same side games, there are those in that group that have given into the dark side, I'll say. I believe you're on a phone, aren't you, Eastland? So it sometimes auto stupid happens. Uh, it's interesting to me that in a business sense, the ones they cast out are now the industry. The main industry is like a hollowed out oak tree. Yeah. Although I wouldn't qualify it as oak, more like I don't know, because at least hollowed out, even oak is still oak. It's still cut it down, cut it apart, and use it for something. Maybe a hope chest. Let's see here. As I prefer to call it, auto stupid. And brain injury, numb fingertips are playing up. Trust me, as far as brain injury, I do understand that. Of course, mine's a lot older than yours, so yeah. And weeping willows. Now that, yeah, exactly. More like pussy willows. And so what's going on there, Bird? By the way, the link is in the pinned comment, so if you'd like to come up here, you're more than welcome. I know there are. Go ahead.
Not much going on here, Cap. Got my Twilight Zone stuff ready.
Cool.
I'm gonna probably have breakfast soon.
Ah, okay. Sounds good.
Take it easy today, since we had a hectic couple of days.
Oh, yeah.
Although we're not going to probably not, if all goes to plan, we will not see Charlie next weekend, as Sisso Prey is planning a little road trip.
Cool.
With now she's got a friend or something that's going to drive with her.
Well, that's cool.
So
it's good to know she'll.
She's going up to Vermont if all goes to plan, to see one of her friends up there.
Huh. Sounds good. Do either of her friends
Maine?
have?
Excuse me, Maine, not Vermont.
Do either of her friends have children?
No, I don't believe.
Okay, I just wondered if there would be someone there for Charlie to hang out and chill out with.
The main thing is that the friend will be in the car, so that Charlie's not alone.
Yeah.
To keep Charlie entertained, more or less, or whatever.
In other words, Charlie's the boss. Kind of there to...
Basically, yeah. Charlie is the boss.
This is one more dental appointment, and then I stop worrying about light dental treatment. Yeah, I need to go in for some dental treatment myself, but yeah, that's going to have to be delayed. Got enough other shit going on. It's nothing urgent, so it'll wait. Well. Well, let's see here. Look and see who else is on now. Because obviously, since Bird is going to be busy.
I'm not busy. I'm just out of it. I'm playing like a little game. I don't know what to talk about.
No problem.
I had this good Stargate stuff, but it felt like that got Stargated out. What do you want to talk about, Captain? What have you been up to? Tell us what's going on at Casa de Captain. Now that you've got, now that school is back in session.
All right. Well, let me do this. I'm going to take a Gelogia break. If you will talk for about a minute,
absolutely.
then I'll go into this stuff.
Very cool. I'm curious. I am curious. So, I know there was some talk of people were wondering what movie I was going to do for next week. And I know Jurassic Park 2 was suggested. And then something else was suggested. But I'm going to officially announce it here. Next week, Cinema Saturday is in fact going to be none of the above. It will be Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's been a long road, a long time since I've seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and that's the exact type of movie I like for Cinema Saturdays. Movies I've seen, but I haven't seen in such a long time that it's, for all effective purposes, going to be like almost watching for the first time. So I do hope some of you guys and gals will enjoy Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I'm fairly certain I will, from what I remember.
What is that on?
Huh? On Cinema Saturday.
Ah.
For next Saturday. I told people I'd let them know today what the movie would be. Oh.
By the way, you should be promoting what's going on this evening.
Oh, yes, of course. At 5:30 p.m. this evening, will be, assuming internet's back, which I believe it is, for a question to track that was supposed to happen yesterday, the trivia show. Also, I will be starring in a fan-made Star Trek fan film. A fan-made a Star Trek fan film starring me as the bravest, wisest, most spectacular captain of all time.
Mirror universe?
In the entire universe, yes. That's going to be, it's a 15, I believe it's a 10 to 15 minute film. I have yet to see the whole thing myself, but it's going to be released in full during this episode of A Question of Trek tonight. So
Great.
come watch me play and stay for me. Stay for the fact that I star in a movie too.
So the subtitle for it should be "It's All About Bird."
I mean, okay, I know some people are going to say, as the star, does that mean you have the most screen time as anybody in the show? And no, I might not have the most screen time, but I'm pretty sure, the first character to be seen. So I think that makes it count. That if you're the first character to be seen in a movie, that's a pretty good example that you are the star of the movie.
Well, are there any other YouTubers in this that are bigger than you?
Physically bigger?
Channel size bigger.
I don't know. You know, I don't want to get into a channel measuring contest. That's just that just sounds wrong.
No, the only reason I say that is, that way if not, if there isn't anyone who has a larger channel, then yes, that still makes you the star.
No, I think what makes you the star is, are people tuning in to see you? So,
True.
Also, if you're the first person on the video, you're generally the star. I mean, like in I don't know. Let's take a random movie. Terminator. The first person you see is the Terminator. Right?
It's been a while since I've seen the opening, but I think the first real character in the movie, yeah, I believe so.
So there we go. I've proven my. Anyway, you were supposed to tell us about the goings on at Casa de Captain.
Yes. Well, as I drop the mouse, days have been a lot quieter and a lot less stressful. In fact, when I went to the wound care doctor, my blood pressure had been the lowest it had been in quite a while. Of course, there wasn't screaming going on in the background when I was walking out the door. So it was, kind of nice. I did find out that because the doctor before had said that after this surgery, I would most likely be on a ventilator. I don't like that idea. But the way he said it or presented it sounded like it was not a temporary thing. when I talked to him about it, this because he was talking about it the last few times I went, and this last time, not this last time, the time before that, it just hit me, and I really had a bout of depression over that. That lasted several days. So I'm sure you noticed from Tuesday to like Friday, I kind of wasn't exactly myself. Then I kind of picked back up.
Is there a reason that they think that would be not temporary? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, like I said, now that I clarified it, they were talking about it being temporary. But
oh, okay.
I just
I mean, I can still say it's not something you want to look forward to, but it's a hell of a lot better temporary than, yeah.
Leaning off the ventilator. God.
I gotta say, Eastland, I'm sure that is absolutely true. That is what they told me too. But thank God, in my case, it took almost no time. As soon as I could get off the ventilator, I was off of it, and they were surprised how quickly it was like, okay. They kept it next to my bed for like 2 weeks just in case I needed it again until Mama Pray finally pushed it out of the room into the hallway because it was taking up too much goddamn room. And we were getting charged for it, even though I wasn't using it. Some people certainly get off of it quicker than others. Now, I don't know, Captain, what your experience may or may not be like if you do it at all, but there is always the possibility that you wake up and you're like, get this shit off me, and you not need it. I'm not saying that's typical, but it is possible.
So with that I couldn't exactly say get this shit off me.
No, but you can make, you can point to some letters or something and make your wishes known. They'll also know. They'll see that your body is trying to breathe on its own, and the machine will alarm when your muscles try to take over, and they tell you, let the machine do its thing, and you can only do it for so long, and then once they see, and I don't know, at this point I'm assuming, but I believe once they see your muscles keep trying to take over and do it, that's when they realize it's time to take you off and see what happens.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that in the process of doing this, they can hopefully find a way to reduce the pain that I'm currently in.
Well, obviously, I mean, the whole purpose of this procedure, right, is to reduce the pain.
The whole reason for it is to get basically get my intestines back inside me versus being outside the intestinal wall.
Hello, Darren.
And good morning, Darren.
How's it going, Apes?
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
kicking bugs
not
off
bad.
my back.
Not bad, Jim.
So what's the topic?
Well, for some reason, Bird decided the topic would be me.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Well, before that, it was J.J. Abrams, I think, when I was in here, in the chat. Somebody, I can't remember who it was talking about how he's a grifter and that he gets these predatory contracts, which sounds legit to me based on what we've seen. But, you know.
And, well, I mean, we're free to talk about anything. What's been going on with you?
Well, today I gotta finish the mess that's in my storage unit, and I also have to do a couple of errands, and that's about it. That's my day, and then hopefully I'll be back by Twilight Zone time.
I'm going to definitely be away for Twilight Zone time, at least. I won't be for question of track. I can guarantee that. Since you weren't here, I'll just say it. I woke up quite early this morning, about 1:30,
Mhm.
and I had to wait till 4:30 to take my medicine. Yay! Because I'd already taken the secondary pill that I usually take, and it didn't really help too much. So it did help, but not enough to get back to sleep. And good morning, MJ Garrick. So I'm drinking coffee to make sure I stay awake today. Now I'm drinking full coffee. Which I sometimes like. And I make it myself, so it's not the store-bought stuff, which is overly sugared and way too fattening. And
I'll be back in a couple.
absolutely.
I'll be right back.
Sure. And yesterday was weird. Okay. Had a near faint in Walmart. Ambulance came. That store's managers are stupid. The intelligent workers are not the top management. That tends to be true, unfortunately. In fact, the Walmart near me, well, before they moved and changed to a stupid center, was one of the original smaller Walmarts. The funny thing is, it actually had more items in the smaller store. You had a greater variety than you do in the stupid center, which really makes no sense. But let's see here. And Easton says, so my blood pressure and O2 percentage were good, but the legs did not hold me up, so the ambulance workers left. And yes, why was yesterday weird, Dick Eric? That would be good to know. Or maybe not. I don't know. Depends on if you would like to say or not. I don't want to put any undue pressure on anyone. If you don't want to say, then feel free not to. Let's see here. Okay. And all right. Let's see here real quick. I see something coming up. I don't know anything's going on right now. Okay. Let's see. Let's get back. Garrick learning about a neighbor. Sounds like a TV show I like. Okay. Too complex. Let's just say I've learned too much about a neighbor. Well, that's possibly good, possibly bad. Don't know. And yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I would say learning too much about a neighbor would be a weird day. Let's see here now. And yeah, that I would agree, Jay Garrick. Yeah, her day sounds worse than the one that the one you talked about.
Okay, I'm back. What? Oh.
Okay. Never mind. So hopefully you'll be able to get to Bird Spring later. What's going on now?
I'm sorry, what?
What's going on?
Oh, I just had to use the bathroom. That's all. I
Oh,
had to
okay.
make myself. Yeah, you know how I am sometimes without hitting that mute button. I want to make sure that I hit it.
Yes.
So, yeah. Alrighty. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm still working on a video. It's that I've been trying to get back to for about 2 weeks now. So maybe I'll be able to get to that this afternoon sometime. Other than that, Sundays, which were usually my primary, video making days, have been eaten up by real life stuff. So, but we'll see. Yeah. Other than that, patiently waiting for the Orville.
I'm curious when that's going to actually happen.
Yeah. Because it's the closest thing we have to Star Trek right now so far. I don't watch Lower Decks because I don't care how good it might be. If you don't have a good live action anchor show, they shouldn't be doing an animated show that makes fun of Star Trek tropes.
No.
That shows that they creatively gave up when they decided to let's create our own Star Trek show that makes fun of our own IP, or the IP, or our licensed IP.
Richie Poole said this as a partial joke, but then I thought about it, and I think he's right. Star Trek Lower Decks isn't a Star Trek show. It takes place in the Orville universe. They're Orville characters playing Star Trek in their simulator. It makes much more sense that way.
Yeah.
Now you don't have to worry about why canon doesn't make sense, because you load in all the original Star Trek and the canon doesn't make sense all the time. Mm-hmm. But it is true to what we've seen.
Right.
And it makes more sense that the people that are characters are actually from the Orville universe. And we know Star Trek exists in the Orville universe because Seinfeld exists in the Orville universe, right. And Star Trek exists in Seinfeld.
Right. Kermit the Frog, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally, I mean, it'd be funny if they probably can't show the characters watching a Star Trek episode even for a second, but they can show them talking about it. That's a possibility. But I mean, they on Enterprise they talked about reading Superman comics, so we know that Superman exists in the Star Trek universe as well, at least as a comic book character. That's funny.
I hadn't thought about that, but you're right.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a...
And I'm sorry, Eastland, I saw earlier. Still no solar babies on the list.
And I'm so sick of JJ defenders going, yeah, but Regarding Henry was awesome. Regarding Henry was awesome. Regarding Henry was a novel that JJ adapted. Anybody sitting in this room could do that. Captain Trek, Bird of Prey, me, anybody. We thought that the makers of the showrunners of Game of Thrones were geniuses until all of a sudden they had no George R.R. Martin books to adapt from. Then we saw how talented they actually are, right? If you guys watched Game of Thrones, the last 2 seasons of that show, when they ran out of Martin books to adapt, it just turned into crap. So I mean,
that's pretty pathetic. You thought they would have gotten a feeling for it. How long was it on?
And granted, they did have time. They were able to speak to him, and he gave them some ideas on how supposedly how it was going to end and whatnot.
Well,
but without the actual book.
Right. Well, there's a lot of people that think that Martin had sort of gotten, even though he was getting a paycheck, he got kind of jealous of the fact that the show was so much more popular than his books were, and that in order to reassert dominance, he withheld the book essentially until the show died, and then he'll come out with the real
Right.
conclusion, and then he'll have an even bigger seller because all the people who love the show and are interested enough to want to read a book will read what was, quote, supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that would be interesting. What sci-fi is.
Assuming the book ever comes out, which
yeah,
we're really starting to think that.
Yeah.
I mean, you understand, this is the second to last book he is yet to release.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 10 plus years he's been working on it.
Right.
So what the hell is going to happen? The man's not going to live another 10 years. Either
you have the story in your head already and you're just having to or you don't know how to end it. And I think that's with me, that's the thing. I mean, I don't actually start writing anything until I know how it's going to end. And then I just string along, between events. Yeah, to not know how it ends for 10 years is I mean, granted, okay, there are other writers who don't, they're struggling with one particular part or to make a decision, I mean, but I think Martin probably just doesn't know how he's going to end it. That's why he's been. I'm sure there's got to be stories that take on lives of their own, so that you may have had an ending in mind, but after writing for 3 decades, you kind of realize this is not the ending it's going to. And, if you want to change it up, I understand that. He's just not writing anymore. He takes on other projects, and he constantly pushes this off and off and off. He misses every deadline he set for himself. And I mean, there's really no reason to think he's ever going to finish, because if he does, then what are people going to care? Once he finishes, I mean, that's it. They're not going to look to him the same way they do. And he realizes, I think now, no matter how he ends it, he's going to upset a lot of people. Yeah, there's that too.
Either way, people are going to get upset. So I don't understand. Why not just do it and be done with it?
Yep. It was kind of like, it reminds me of how people were wanting Stephen King to finish his Dark Tower series. And a lot of people were unsatisfied with how he chose to end it. But, I think he ended it after his car accident and stuff. So he was, he wasn't obviously the same guy anymore. A lot of these things, I started a book 20 years ago. And I came back to it recently just to look at the manuscript again, and I'm like, this was written by a totally different guy than me today, Yeah. And because I was angry at the world and all this kind of stuff, and so it just came through with everything.
Right.
And I'm like, I couldn't continue this. People would notice a stark tonal shift, in what was added by me more recently. So I decided just to scrap it and start over. But that's what happens when you wait too long. You have, there's something to be said about guys like Grisham, who write a minimum of 200 words a day.
Yeah.
On their book. In 1 year you'll have a novel. If you do that, and sometimes you'll write more than 200 words, obviously. But if you write a minimum of 200 words, you'll have every single day. You'll have a novel in 1 year, and that's. Some people, that's a long time to write too. I mean, King, when he was on cocaine-fueled benders writing books, he'd get a book done inside of 3 weeks. If it was all he did every day, all day for hours at end, which is easy to do when you're on a roll and you're hot. So I mean, there's been books that historically have been written in a week that became great American novels, considered Joseph Heller's Catch-22. The hardest part for that book after he wrote it was the title. There's a museum that has his original manuscript that he turned into his publisher for that. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Catch-22. The book takes place during World War II. It's about a bombardier named Yossarian who was part of a bomber squadron in Italy during World War II, and it's all about the dysfunction of the military system. It's a dark comedy about how the system is rigged against you, and the title Catch-22 comes from this thing that he wants the base doctor to declare him crazy so that he won't have to go on these bombing missions anymore.
Right.
And he says that I can't do that because of Catch-22. And he goes, "What's that?" He goes, "Well, you want me to ground you because you're crazy." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, well, but anybody who wouldn't want to fly on those missions would have to be, would have to be not crazy. So therefore, I can't ground you." And it's a little more complicated than that, but that's that. It's a roundabout way of saying it's a self-defeating rule. So let me see if I can get a better definition.
Okay.
It's a paradoxical situation from which an individual cannot escape because of the contradictory rules or limitations. So the actual piece of dialogue from the book is, Yossarian is trying to talk to the base doctor, and he goes, "You mean there's a catch?" He goes, "Sure, there's a catch." Doc Danica replied, "Catch-22. Anyone who wants to get out of combat duty isn't really crazy." And so so Heller had to the reason why that book took like an extra month to publish was because he stumbled for an entire month on what to call the catch. He had Catch-18, he had Catch-24. He wanted to come up with a number that would work, that wasn't obvious, like today somebody would Catch-69 or
Right.
something like that. This is back in the 50s. And he settled eventually on Catch-22 simply because that was under deadline pressure from his publisher. And Catch-22 became the phrase became a word in the popular vernacular, a term to describe something. That's how influential he became. And that's what almost all American authors would love to have, an actual term that that comes into popular use. In English language based off of a book that they wrote. That's leaving your mark. A lot of people know what a catch. A lot of people know what a Catch-22 is, but they don't know. They've never read the book and don't know the actual context upon which it was created. But it was made into a movie with. Oh goodness, when would that movie came out? Catch-22, the movie came out in 1970, and it starred Alan Arkin, Richard Benjamin, Art Garfunkel, Bob Newhart's in it, so is Charles Grodin, Anthony Perkins, and Orson Welles is also in it as well, playing a high-ranking general. And Martin Sheen's in it too. So it had this huge cast of people, and a lot of them were unknowns at the time. John Voight's in it too. And so there's a moment, for example, where so the guy who becomes the most powerful guy on the base is the supply officer, because he sets up relationships with the local villages in Italy and starts trading military goods for other things, and he ends up creating an evil corporation solely off of pilfering stuff from military bases, which does happen. It just and even there was a situation in the Philippines that reminds me a lot of what happened in Catch-22, where a guy was at the Navy base was selling chickens to the local restaurants in the Philippines and things, and he was building this empire where he was like buying and selling cars and things too. It all started from him just selling chickens to the local restaurants and things for prices, and that's why whenever they serve chicken at the base, you could only get a wing and a leg. I asked for a thigh and a breast, and no, we don't have those. I'm like, I've never seen a chicken that didn't have a thigh or a breast. And then this Marine colonel did some digging and discovered that he was selling them on the black market there, and he amassed this huge fortune. The mess chief in there, but anyway, in the book, John Voight plays Milo Minderbender, who's the mess officer, and he creates a syndicate by doing all these weird things. Like, for example, he trades silk to the local Italians for better cuisine for the officers' mess. And where does he get the silk? Well, all of a sudden they cut to Yossarian on a bombing mission, and he can't find his parachute. So his parachutes back then were made of silk. So,
right.
So he was selling valuable pieces of gear, and such. And so, it's not a fun movie to watch because and a lot of veterans of World War II in particular hated the film because they want, of course, every depiction of World War II to be this glowing, glorious, thing. But it is a book and a movie in general that talks about many of the failures of a military system, and in that regard, it's timeless. It's kind of like Apocalypse Now really isn't about Vietnam; it's about war in general, that kind of idea. Anywho.
I'm sure that most people didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, there is a scene where, and MASH kind of hit on this too, where there comes a threshold where higher ranking officers, they don't want to be bothered with some of the smaller things that they're supposed to do. So, for example, at one point, Orson Welles plays this general who's going to pin a medal on Yossarian, and Yossarian shows up buck naked. And Orson Welles is like, soldier, if I'm not, you're out of uniform, and he's like, and of course, the general subordinate is like, we'll make sure he goes to the stockade for this, sir, don't worry. And Orson Welles' general is like, what do I care if he wants to accept a medal naked? He's not hurting anybody, it's like, because he doesn't want to deal with the paperwork, right? So, it's one of those things. It's kind of like in MASH, for example, in the very beginning of MASH, the movie, not the series. Donald Sutherland and Tom Skerritt steal a Jeep from one army base and drive it to their new, the 4077 MASH unit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they get there and they're in the chow tent, and the colonel in charge of the MASH unit comes up to him and goes, Colonel Hawkeye Pierce, we heard a Twix about you. It seems you stole the Jeep up in headquarters. He goes, no, I didn't steal the Jeep. See, there it is, right over there. He points to it. And the colonel's like, oh, so it is. So nothing ever happens of it, because the colonel doesn't want to deal with that. So, and I mean that happens. I mean, when I was in basic training, they had this thing where you had to take apart and clean a non-functioning M16 rifle. Right? We actually had rifles in our barracks that were on a rack. They were non-firing. They had no pin. Well, they had a pin, but they had no ammo, obviously. And then they had the barrel was full of solder, so there, the bullet couldn't travel, even if it, so you couldn't modify it in any way really to fire anything. And you were supposed to clean it and then, turn it in before you went to bed. And of course, what would happen was the pricks that were in charge of the armory would take it from you and then throw it back at you and tell you to do it again because it wasn't clean enough. Mm-hmm. And of course it was spotless, right? So that happened to me once, and I'm thinking, okay, I know there's nothing wrong with this rifle. So I went and I wrote a letter to the folks and did a bunch of shit, And then 5 minutes before it's time for those fuckers to go home, because those guys weren't recruits. They were guys who were working there off base, that lived off base. Then they would just grab the rifle and throw it on the rack, wouldn't even inspect it. you know. So here's a situation where, you know, you observe how people behave and you figure out, you know, what motivates them, and then you can get around certain things. And everybody's like, "Why are you fighting letters? You still got to clean your rifle." And I'm like, "When are you fuckers gonna figure this out?" You know. You know, they're sitting there polishing the rifle, trying to get every little speck off, and then they got every little speck off, but then they're told that they have to do it again, so they come back and they do it again, you know, and they, you know, and they're just, you know, wasting their time, spinning their wheels. Anyway, so that's the kind of stuff that happens, and that is just at the E1 recruit level, and so that kind of a situation just gets bigger and bigger as you go up the ranks, and that's why scenes like that one in MASH and that one in Catch-22 aren't so far-fetched, you know.
Well, no, they wouldn't.
One time, a bunch of guys, like half the boat, got into a bar fight in Hollylock, Scotland, right?
Right.
And everybody got arrested, and the captain had to sign 22 sheets of paper for each of those guys to release them into his custody. One at a time. Each one had to go before the magistrate, and there's the captain. And he's signing all, and every time he's signing his name, he's getting more and more pissed off, you know. And he had to do that for about 60 guys. So, you know, so his hand was tired, you know, and you know, wasting all this time. That's the kind of shit that an officer in any military wants to avoid, at least ours wants to avoid. I mean, you know, so that's why when I laugh when, you know, when Martok, you know, goes to Cisco's office, or Cisco goes to his office, and Martok's in there waiting for him and goes, "You knew about this, didn't you?" And he goes, "Yeah, I heard." And he goes, "And you did nothing to prevent it." And, you know, and Cisco's like, "No, in fact, I recommended you. You know, let me be the first to congratulate you as the new supreme commander of the Klingon forces in this sector." And Martok's like, "Do you have any idea how much paperwork a supreme commander has to do?" You know, you know, the Klingon priorities are a little bit different, you know, and then Cisco, you know, "May I arrange quarters for you on the station?" And he goes, "No, I'll keep my flag on the Rotar, and at least I'll feel like I'm still in the war." You know, you know. But yeah, we kind of meandered here. So that all came from the discussion about George R.R. Martin and why it's taken him 10 years to write 2 books. And there comes a point also where a lot of writers don't feel like writing anymore. Mm-hmm. And they like coasting on the fame that they've. I'm not saying this has happened to Martin, but we kind of know this happened to Roddenberry. We know that for Roddenberry, who will gladly take any credit not firmly nailed down, loved being on the college tours and loved probably his substances and probably, you know, a little bit of womanizing on the side, or maybe a lot, depending. I mean, he got kind of old and ugly and fat, but, you know, who knows? When he was a younger man, I'm sure he was, you know, the roads were ripe for plowing. But
he keeps
you know,
getting older, but the college girls stay the same age.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, so I mean, there comes a point where, you know, you might want to do something else. You know, I remember a story about the Far Side cartoon creator, Gary Larson, I think was his name. Mm-hmm. One year, he just decided, okay, I'm retired, I'm done, and he wanted to go play guitar. You know, he'd made enough money to be able to do whatever he wanted to, and he was done drawing these comics, much to everybody's chagrin, because, you know, for me, that was the only reason to read a newspaper for a while, was his Far Side cartoon. And he just fucked off the rest of his life. You know, went to you know, learned how to play guitar, was probably down, you know, joined some local band that plays in front of people, and that was it. And still making money off of all the, you know, anytime they publish a collected edition of Far Side cartoons. I mean, obviously that's just a, you know, a steady income stream for him. And you know, there's been a lot of cartoonists like that. I mean, the guy who did Bloom County, I think, he ended Bloom County and then created a new strip like a year or two later with some of the same characters in it. But you get tired of writing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
The novel and movie Misery by Stephen King was about that, about a writer who had written a series of books about a woman living in another, in I think like a Little House on the Prairie era or the Victorian era called Misery, and he decided to kill off the character, and then we all know the story. This fan of his character kidnaps him and makes him write a novel in her house that resurrects her. And she turns out to be one of the best. It's interesting because he tries to slough off. He tries to actually have it where she didn't really die. And she's like, you can't do that. He goes, and then she relates to when she used to watch the Rocket Man serials in the film, in the movie theater, and how they would clearly show that Rocket Man was in a car without his rocket suit, and the car went off the cliff. And then you'd wait for the next week for the next part of the serial, and you go in there, and here they show that he had actually gotten out of the car and was hanging off the cliff by a vine or a root or something, right? Mm-hmm. He was able to climb back on. Well, of course, you didn't see that in the last week, so the Kathy Bates character, says that I stood up in the theater and I shouted, "That's not what happened. We saw it. He was in the car. And so continuity is very important. Is what she was trying to get through to him. And of course, she broke his legs when he did that. But anyway, but it turned out that he was, she was getting the best work out of him.
I thought she broke his legs when he tried to escape.
Right. But I mean, you're right. But I think I can't remember if there is a point
probably
in the book
about the same time.
Well, I mean, he was in a bad way, and he burned the manuscript that he had just typed up, and then he had to start all over. I can't remember in the book what precipitated her cutting his thumb off and putting it on his birthday cake. I don't remember that. Anyway, I'm conflating the two versions. But in any case, there's a writer who got tired of writing about this character Misery. If you remember Thomas Harris, the guy who wrote a book called Red Dragon about a character named Will Graham who is trying to find a murderer called the Red Dragon, and he interviews Hannibal Lecter. It's the first book that he ever wrote that had Hannibal Lecter character in it. Hannibal Lecter was a character, imprisoned in an asylum, and he would interview him in order to get insight into capturing the Red Dragon. Well, then in the next book, because Red Dragon didn't sell very well, he created a new character called Clarice Starling, and he was hoping, and he was right, that this paid off, that he had attracted a female audience who wanted to read about a female, forensic science, FBI agent.
All right.
And it was it sold like crackers. Obviously, became a movie, and then years later, he wrote a sequel, follow-up called Hannibal, and he, to a lot of people, ruined the Clarice Starling character. The Clarice Starling character was created as a means to an end. He wanted a bestseller. Mm-hmm. And now that he didn't need Clarice Starling again, what does he do? He makes her. She becomes an ordinary FBI agent. She's not in the behavioral sciences anymore, and she's got PTSD. She's got all kinds of psychological problems, and at the very end, she and Hannibal Lecter fall in love and run off together. And the perfect way to destroy the character for every fan of Clarice Starling, because Clarice, of course, was played by Jodie Foster, not known for liking or needing a man in her life, Mm-hmm. So it was often implied that Clarice was the same way, and Lecter, of course, in the books is way creepier and way more physically grotesque looking than Anthony Hopkins is. But he's polydactyl, for example. He's described as having very small teeth in his mouth, and things like that. And for them to fall in love and run off together was just awful. I mean, Jodie Foster, when she read the book, said, "I'm not playing that character." And even if you change it, I'm still not playing that character. This isn't this isn't the same character. And so Julianne Moore, of course, played her later in that movie. But there's an example of a writer who didn't want to, Clarice Starling was a means to an end. He had no interest in continuing to write about her, and essentially made the character unpopular on purpose.
Yeah.
Anyway, so maybe George R. R. Martin is tired of writing about Jon Snow and the Queen, the Dragon Lady, and the dwarf and all that stuff. Maybe he's just
It's
tired
fine. He can
Yeah.
hire somebody to finish the book for him.
A lot of people have done that. There's a lot of speculation that J.K. Rowling only wrote the first Harry Potter book, and after that, it was ghostwritten, because she was, prior to that book coming out, a literary agent for other writers. So she had a network of. Cap dropped out. But J.K. Rowling had a network of other writers and novelists at her disposal that she worked with for many years, and I'm willing to bet that, if she couldn't get him a job, she probably said, "Well, here, I'll give you an outline for the next Harry Potter book. You write the book, and if it's good enough, I'll see if I can get you some work as yourself later on." That's been a big rumor forever. I mean, there's even a couple in Liverpool, I believe it was, who had a manuscript for a Harry Potter book like 10 years before Harry Potter came out. They shopped it to J.K. Rowling. They claim that she stole the whole idea from them, and they settled out of court. Now, when you settle out of court, a lot of people think that's suspicious. That's like, okay, it's hush money, right? But we don't know. A legal battle like that could go on forever. And this little couple from Liverpool probably didn't have a lot of resources to fight the legal battle, so they might have taken an easy out. But they even had a mock cover for it, and the character's name was like Larry Porter or something. It was very, very, looked very much like Harry Potter, with the lightning bolt on a tattoo on his head and everything, and you can't find that image anymore. But I remember seeing it in USA Today when she was getting sued. So,
Arabic Sonder asked, "Have we read Dean Koontz? I'm a big fan of his style." Not me, Arabic. I don't know about Darren or Captain.
Well, Dean Koontz had a very cool career strategy. He figured out that Stephen King comes out with a major book every 2 years. This is back in the 80s. Now, Dean Koontz had been writing books prior to that, but he made sure that his book always came out in the off year. And so, when you go to the library, you go to the bookstore, and you're looking in the horror section, you get to the K's, it's King first and then Koontz, And so he made he wasn't as big a media star as Stephen King, but he made a significant career for himself, writing every year that putting out a book every year that King didn't put out a book, which was every other year for a while. And eventually they're obviously friends, and they made a book called The Black House, I believe is what it was called, where Koontz started it and King finished it.
Interesting. I never thought about their last names having any effect on it. My author of choice while he was alive was Michael Crichton.
Yeah,
I used to read all his books when they came out, but then he died.
Yeah, he. What was great about him was that he could take very scientific stuff and break it down and make the average person understand it, which is something that you always hear that any scientist who can't break down their scientific idea into a way that a high schooler could understand it, or maybe even a child, if they can't do that, they don't really understand it themselves. But Crichton could do that. Jurassic Park got into all kinds of genetic stuff, and he was able to break it down to a high school reading level.
Yeah, I guess Jurassic Park was kind of what got me onto it. I mean, we had an English class, a sci-fi class, where we went back and then read the Andromeda Strain, which honestly was probably my least favorite of his. But then there was like Disclosure, and, a few non-really sci-fi stories. The Sphere. Well, okay, then you're back at sci-fi. It's the Sphere, and I'm forgetting. There were quite a few movies were made after Jurassic Park. It seemed like they tried to make a movie out of every book.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, the thing everybody knows about Jurassic Park, but what a lot of people don't realize is it's interesting. He kind of cannibalized his own idea, because what is Jurassic Park about? It's about a theme park, right? That goes bad. And back in the late 60s, early 70s, he wrote a book and also directed a movie, believe it or not, that was all about that. That was Westworld.
oh yeah, Congo too, right? I forgot about Congo.
Yeah. I remember seeing Congo in the theater. It wasn't bad. I thought the ape effect was pretty good for the time, but I think it was mostly CG, because CG was the new hotness at that time.
Let's see. What was Disclosure? When that came a movie, was that Sean Connery?
Disclosure.
I kind of remember being Sean Connery, and
there was a
famous.
Disclosure film in 1994 starring Michael Douglas and Demi Moore, based on a book.
That might have been it. Maybe it was Michael Douglas.
Let me see here. Yeah, it was about sexual harassment. Yep, Michael Crichton, based on Michael Crichton's novel of the same name. Yep.
Yeah, it was a Japanese firm trying to cover up. Cover up some bad stuff. Hey, welcome back, Cap.
Thank you. Sorry about that. The power flashed, and yep. Internet went bye-bye.
Oh.
So that's where I was at, Eric.
Okay. No, there was a collaboration between Stephen King and Dean Koontz, and I bought the hardcover years ago. I thought it was called The Black House, or just Black House, but I'm having a hard time finding. Maybe that was Peter Straub and Stephen King. That might be what I'm thinking of. Yeah, it was Peter Straub. Okay, never mind. Yeah, Dean Koontz, to my knowledge, didn't have as many films based off of his books. I remember there was one though that was made called, I think, Phantoms. It was with Ben Affleck. Let me see. Filmography. Phantoms. Yep, that's what it was. Yeah, based off of the novel of the same name, Dean Koontz. I'm sure Dean Koontz and King are friends. It's kind of weird because King at one point said that he had formed a band with a number of other writers, including what was her name? Emily Tam, the Joy Luck Club author. Amy Tan, that's her name, Amy Tan, and a number of other writers, and I think Dean Koontz was one of them, and King played guitar at the time, and it was just one of these things that a bunch of authors, that were, had enough time on their hands decided to do. I thought it was kind of interesting, and then that was the inspiration for a Stephen King short story called "I Bet They've Got a Hell of a Band."
Can't say I've heard of that, but I'm sure.
Odd Thomas. Okay. All right. So Odd Thomas was a book that was turned into a movie starring Anton Yelkin back in 2013. So he has had some things made into films. Let me see if there's anything Oh, okay. Watchers 2, Watchers 3. I think those were Corey Haim movies, I want to say. Yeah, Phantoms was a Miramax film with Peter O'Toole, Ben Affleck, Rose McGowan, and Joanna Going. So,
Oh. Cap, I'm going to have to get going in a bit.
No problem. We're just over 2.5 hours. I think we're going to call it a stream. I do want to thank everyone who's been in the chat, and Bird and Darren for being on the panel.
thanks for having me, Captain Track.
Thank
Sorry
you
for
very
calling
much.
you Captain Brew the other day. That was a slip of the tongue there.
No problem.
Thank you, Captain.
Have a great day, and join Bird later for Twilight Zone and Resolute Germ for Farscape later tonight.